And we are back. And before we start, this episode is going to be our general review. The MoMA's going to start next week. So this is just our general review and bitch fest, not what we're going to do structurally with MoMA.
So let's go through all of NXT TakeOver.
Oh, also, Make Pro Wrestling Great Again, MPMA, and MoMA are going to be used interchangeably as we discuss the show. Go ahead, let's talk about TakeOver.
All right, well, let's start with night one. What happened on night number one?
We had a pre-show match. So... they had this stupid little curtain that was totally distracting, by the way.
Oh, it was.
Because they wanted to do a grand, elaborate thing for the entranceway.
I don't even remember who it was.
There was a way to do it. It was Toni Storm and Zoey Stark.
That's right.
It was a really good match.
It was.
And it was Stark to win. I was surprised about that one. Hard to believe Toni Storm was actually going for the NXT Women's Champion at one point.
I know. And here she is back on the pre-show.
On the pre-show. Might as well have just stayed in the fucking UK.
Right.
Pete Dunne, KUSHIDA. Why did they start with this?
Because they have to... Well, I mean, just like WrestleMania, they decided to start with a fucking fantastic match.
I mean, this could be something that might be considered for match of the year. It was that good.
I gave it 4.
I think they told a great story,
did.
It was a bitter end on KUSHIDA for Pete Dunne to win.
I know, which was interesting.
That was weird. I mean, fuck, man. KUSHIDA probably should have stayed in New Japan at that point.
I know, right?
But no, it was an amazing match.
It was.
I mean, it lived up to everything plus some.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do our 6-person gauntlet. Whoever wins face Johnny Gargano for the North American Champion on night 2.
Who are the participants?
So, this is the order. Leon Ruff and Isiah Swerve Scott started. Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, and LA Knight came in next.
That was in order. It was about they were 2-minute intervals?
It was like a 2-minute interval. It was a really good match, actually.
It was. Who was eliminated first?
Leon Ruff was eliminated first, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Dexter Lumis was eliminated next.
Which was interesting.
Who
eliminated? Wasn't LA Knight who eliminated Dexter Lumis?
Yes, it was LA Knight who eliminated him. And then LA Knight was eliminated by Bronson Reed.
Which was interesting.
Cameron Grimes was eliminated. And then it was down to Reed and Scott.
Yep.
Which I thought was kind of surprising. Once again, a swerve, but a good swerve. And then Bronson Reed won. It was a great match, man. Great psychology. They structured it really nice. It didn't feel like anybody was left out.
No.
And also, Dexter Lumis and LA Knight have started their little rivalry as well. Yeah. I'm kind of excited about that. Kind of get them out of the title picture, which they don't need to be in.
And again, this is something that we'd probably go more in depth with starting next week.
Right. Walter and Tommaso Ciampa
Holy fucking fuck, what a great match.
For the NXT UK champion. What a match.
Holy, did that match happen or was that just in my dreams?
Right. This is considered match of the year. This is one of those matches where I'm going to say this is something to talk about when we're going to be talking about at the end of this next year.
Right.
It was amazing. Walter just slapped the shit out of Tommaso Ciampa and pinned him clean.
No.
But here's my thing. And I really thought about this because a lot of the emphasis of what they were talking about was Tommaso Ciampa's condition.
Right.
He might physically look good, but how much longer does he really have?
Right.
I think at this point, they might be starting to think about Tommaso Ciampa moving on to something different within the organization. I don't personally like saying that, but a neck injury does that. Right. And, what can you do?
Right.
We'll see what happens.
But Walter, my God.
If anybody says anything of who is the wrestler right now, Walter has to be there.
Right.
He is one of the greatest wrestlers right now. Every time he is in a match, it's going to be
a classic.
I mean, you had it with Isiah Dragunov last year, and that was considered for match of the year. And I think Meltzer gave it like a 6 stars.
He gave it 5.
He gave it 5. And then now Walter, Tommaso Ciampa. If this doesn't get anything less than a 4 stars, I'm gonna be pissed.
Right.
It was so freaking awesome. The
that
ending
is our AC going off, by the way.
Oh, they're. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're fine.
Okay.
MSK, Grizzled Young Veterans, and Legado del Fantasma for the vacant NXT Tag Team Champions.
So the Tag Team Champions had to be relinquished because one of the two got an injury.
Danny Burch got a separated shoulder during their tag team match with Kross and Balor.
That's right.
So obviously they had to relinquish them, and MSK won with that cool little roll through.
Yep, that's
cutter,
when,
heart attack, whatever.
Yeah, and so by the way, so what happened was I definitively won NXT Takeover, but then this bitch over here.
I won by one match during WrestleMania because we had 3 differences.
And you won 2.
It was amazing, by the way. It was such a great show. But yes, MSK won. It was a great match. I don't want to bitch about MSK winning. They definitely are an amazing tag team, but it was way too early for them to win the belts.
Yeah.
It really was. Grizzled Young Veterans were my choice. No. Nothing against Legado. Actually, no, MSK was my choice.
Yeah, MSK
because it was the obvious choice. I wanted Grizzled Young Veterans to win, but I knew that because MSK was in the match, they're not going to have MSK lose it.
Right.
And then Legado del Fantasma are just so underrated.
I know.
They're so good. It's just amazing. It was a great match. Anyway, finally, the main event. A match that lived up to all the hype.
Yep.
Io Shirai, Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Champion.
Man.
Io Shirai jumping off of a goddamn skull and crashing onto Raquel Gonzalez. A great story.
Yeah.
And Raquel Gonzalez won with a one-armed power bomb.
Yep.
She is the new NXT Women's Champion. Once again, we're in this position where I think it's too early for her to have this belt.
But Io Shirai is
They had to get the belt off of her somehow.
They're destined. She is destined for the main roster somewhere. Who knows where? But they had to get it off her somehow. And Raquel Gonzalez is as good as any other woman on the roster to do it. So
I mean, I guess they're building her as the monster. She was the obvious choice because Io Shirai beat everybody else.
I know. Anyways, match of the night. Start rating for night number 1 before we move on to part number 2.
My match of the night was Tommaso Ciampa and Walter by 1.5 miles, and I'm gonna give the overall show a 4.
Okay, I'm gonna give the overall show a 3, but I'm gonna agree with you as far as what the match of the night was.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to night number 2. We're not going to take a break, so if you thought so,
you're wrong.
There's no ad.
Two really big parts.
I know.
Breezango, Killian, Dain, and Drake Maverick for the number 1 contendership.
This was a pre-show match.
This was the pre-show. I liked this match.
It was okay.
It was. I love the chemistry with Killian, Dain, and Drake Maverick.
The chemistry is amazing.
They're fun. Breezango dressed as pirates and looked ridiculous, but knowing what was going to happen later, I didn't know it at the time. Also, for pretty much, other than tonight, where I was a little more responsible, I was trashed like 3 nights out of the 4.
Oh my God, yes, we were not sober.
I was not sober, no. But it was a really fun match. I enjoyed it. It was a powerbomb. Killian Dain powerbomb Drake Maverick onto, I think, Fandango. For the pin, and so they are the new number 1 contenders for the NXT Tag Team Champions. I really couldn't see anybody else other than these two.
Right.
And Breezango still fucking sucks. Anyway, Santos, Escobar, and Jordan Devlin ladder match to unify the NXT Cruiserweight Champions.
This is where I started my comeback.
Well, this is where you won. You straight up won with this one.
I straight up I won with both matches.
Right. Well, you this was where you won one. I had to win both matches to win. Right. So it was a amazing match, hell of a match, and this was something that needed to happen to really not only unify the cruiserweight division, but really establish it as something that has come back.
Santos Escobar won, my boy.
And Jordan Devlin went through a ladder, and it was a great match.
It was a great match.
It was a wonderful match. I enjoyed it. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. And before we go into the match, our condolences go out to Blackheart. Her father passed away, I think, yesterday.
Oh, tear.
So, yeah, well, come on. Sucks. So, and this match was fine. I felt like it never really got out of third gear.
No, it didn't.
But it was a fine match. They did try, and there were some really good spots, but it never really caught fire where I really wanted it to. And it was an Eclipse and then a Senton, and I don't know why am I thinking it was a Sent space on for the win. So they retained, and this is where you definitively won.
Yes,
like you destroyed me for Takeover.
Yeah, it was like 3-1.
And I walked out I walked out the weekend with the champ.
I know you did.
Anyway,
you know what? And then you have 2 weeks of that championship. You fuck.
And then I'll retain. So Johnny
happen.
Gargano and Bronson Reed for the NXT North American Championship.
It's kind of a boring match.
Really? I loved this match.
It was okay. It just was like, okay, let's just
Johnny Gargano is... Are you done?
Yeah.
Johnny Gargano is very good at structuring a David Goliath match. Bronson Reed is very good. I love Bronson Reed. He is one of my favorite competitors right now.
The fact that Dexter Lumis didn't win yesterday made it boring.
They had that rivalry going into the show. That's why I did not like this. At least more than I wanted. It was a good match.
Right.
But the rivalry did not want this. I'm sorry. Dexter Lumis should have faced Gargano. 100%. That was the rivalry going into it. So are they just going to ignore? Of course they fucking are. This is WWE. What am I thinking?
Right.
And Gargano won with a one final beat, and it and once again it's something that was like, God damn it, getting a little annoyed that he is NXT North American champion. Absolutely. But it was fine. You know, I said it was a hell of a match because structurally it was a great match. Just storyline, no. And Finn Balor and Karrion Kross for the NXT champion.
Ooh, that match was actually excellent.
This was an amazing match.
Oh yeah.
Karrion Kross and Finn Balor had to knock this out of the park.
And they did. They delivered.
Oh yeah. I thought this match was better than the next match, but that's just me personally.
The next match was better.
And it was an elbow to the back of the head for Karrion Kross to win back the NXT champion. The right call, because Karrion Kross, he never lost a championship.
No, he never did.
So this was the right move.
This is where Finn Balor moves back to SmackDown or something.
I really don't want him to, because he went back down to NXT because they fucked him up so royally on the main. Then they're gonna bring him back again. Maybe we'll get this right the next time.
I mean, Roman Reigns running out of rivals.
I guess. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly.
Sorry.
Cole Adam versus Kyle O'Reilly
fuck you.
You
fuck.
In an unsanctioned match.
Holy crap.
So the match itself.
So here's my question. If it was an unsanctioned match, then how could it be scheduled for one fall?
Ryan, Peanut Gallery bitched and moaned about this even when we were like drunk as skunks. So it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. This motherfucker texted me that. It's like, for God's sake, woman. I
was curious.
Now, obviously, the match was fine. They did this for obvious reasons why they wanted to do an unsanctioned match.
Right.
Because Adam Cole's girlfriend was in a legendary unsanctioned match.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, it was a good match. But honestly, it underdelivered.
Oh. Really? Oh, I mean...
It underdelivered.
There wasn't much blood and guts.
Why were they in wrestling gear? Why didn't it show the presentational wise that this was unsanctioned? There was nothing here that gave me any kind of indication.
It was anything other than unsanctioned.
Right. Instead of telling me, show me.
Right.
AEW does it right. The show is over. Turn off the lights and turn them back on. You're visually telling me.
Right.
As soon as those lights go out.
There's no announcer. There's no schedule for one fall. There's no referee even. It's just whoever does not get up is the, quote, winner.
Right. The referee will decide if the person cannot continue.
Right.
AEW says this is going to be the unsanctioned match. The referee is here for blank. And from this moment on, we're turning off the lights, signaling the end of the show. Right. They not only tell you, but they show you. Mm-hmm. This show had the lights kind of
scheduled for one fall. No, it's not scheduled for one fall.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right. And there was no another presentation other than there were no entranceway anything. It was just basically like black and white lighting.
Right.
And it was like, okay, where was it? Don't just tell me it's unsanctioned and NXT is not responsible. Show me.
Right.
This is a visual medium.
Right.
You have to show it physically
for people
to really feel it.
I mean, William Regal could have stood up there with Triple H and they would have had to sign a waiver like right then and there. It's like, go for it, bitches.
Right. Show us. Because then it's fine. Right. I feel like if the structure of the match itself did not change in any iota, but they did the unsanctioned thing presentationally better, this would have been a much better match.
It would have. But anyways, it was a great match.
And it was Kyle O'Reilly to win. So Adam Cole is most likely going... AC is most likely going to be going to the main roster. I hope to God not. Well, what the fuck else is he going to do?
I don't know.
He was NXT champion. He was North American champion. He was tag team champions. What else?
Nothing.
So he's going to go to the main roster. They're going to fucking ruin him there.
He's just going to do some AEW things.
Yeah, he's going to go to AEW immediately. Anyway, so let's do night 2.
All right, night 2. Best match of the night rating, and then we'll do the entire show after we give our review of that particular night.
Night 2 for me was a 3.5.
Okay.
I thought night 1 was better. And I'm going to give the match of the night to... I'm going to have to give it to Johnny and Bronson. I enjoyed that match more than any other match.
I'm going to give the match tonight to Cole and O'Reilly, and I'm going to give it a 3 stars. So both nights were about a 3. My average is about a 3 ranking. The best match of the entire show was Cole and O'Reilly.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, mine was a 3.5 because I gave the first one a much better one, and I have to give that first one to Walter and Tommaso Ciampa. I thought that was the best.
All right.
I thought that was the best match of the show. Entirely.
I think maybe he's just forgetting. Anyways,
no, I'm not.
When we come back, because we're going to totally ignore the fact that Tyler Hyde is a fucking idiot.
Oh, you mean the majestic champion of the world?
Also a fucking idiot because he didn't win that night. He didn't win at NXT.
I did not.
So when we come back to WrestleMania 37, we're gonna split this bitch up into 2 parts.
We have to. There's no way we can do it in one.
There's no way in one part. Anyways, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Absolutely.